So Lexicon is a route in the English Lake District, which is a really like picturesque, scenic mountain area in the northwest of the UK. The rock is it's like a sort of metamorphosed igneous rock. It's like rhyolite. It's very rough, very compact. It's got good friction, small edges. Very. It's like to climb on it would be similar to climbing on something like Smith Rock. You know, just this rough rock with good edges. And the route Lexicon starts. It shares part of a line called Impact Day, which was a Dave Burkitt route. It was the original route on this wall. And it's like a high crag, it overlooks this beautiful lake. And Impact Day takes a kind of S-shaped sort of weaving line up the wall. If you like, it takes the line of weakness. But the kind of real showcase of this particular wall, in my opinion, is the kind of final head wall. There's a break, like there's a horizontal break that you can stuff with cams about 2/3 of the way up. And then there's this amazing blank head wall. And when I went up to look at Impact Day, I realized that the kind of main central line up the middle of the head wall hadn't been done. And I abbed it. It was very dirty, covered in lichen. So I brushed all this lichen off. And I found a bunch of little crimps and little side pools and realized straight away that it was climbable, which was, very exciting. But Impact Day, the route to the left, is described, and that's given the grade of E8. And so for those of you who don't know the British grading system, what that means is like a French 8A or like a, what's that, 13B run out, like big run outs. And the run out above the break on the adjacent route Impact Day is split by a bomb-proof peg. Okay. So from the break, you go like 20 feet, clip the peg, and then you go 20 feet again to the top. And that is still described by a lot of people as run out. And a lot of people take big whippers off that route. So with Lexicon, there's no peg. You have to go the whole way up the head wall with no, so you're basically going like, 40 feet above like that. And it's sustained climbing. You could argue that the last move is the Crux just because it's endurance based. And also the last move is a little bit dynamic and you have to throw for a slot. And like how sometimes when route setters, they stack two holds together, they put a little cap on so that you have to be really accurate. And if you're a little bit jittery, you miss. So it's basically that move at the top of the run out. So even if you got there and you felt totally, you're looking down and your rope's going down like, 35 feet. And even if you got there and felt strong, you'd still have to basically flick and go for this slot and hope that that you're feeling lucky.
Yeah. There's like a little bit of luck, precision element.
A little bit of luck and precision to catch this hold. And I mean, so yeah, it was a year-long kind of campaign for me, really. But it was off the back of the fact that I climbed 8C+, which I believe is 14C, isn't it?
Correct, yeah.
I had done that at Malham like 3-4 years ago. And then after that, I thought, right, okay, I've got this new level of sport climbing fitness. What am I going to do with it? And the answer is because I thought I'd given up on hard trad, but I thought, well, hang on. If I've gone up 2 grades on sport, why don't I give trad a go again and see what I can do? And I ended up doing a new route, and a direct finish to one of the lakes' sort of hardest E9s, this route called If 6 Was 9. It kind of climbs 2/3 of the way up this amazing overhanging wall, and then it traverses off, and there's this head wall above. Similar idea to Lexicon, but the climbing on the head wall is not as hard. Anyway, I did this particular route in 2019, and that was like what we Brits would call E10, which is like 8A plus 8B really run out. So I felt like I was kind of gathering a bit of momentum with this. And then off the back of that was when I found the line of Lexicon, and I just thought, right, I'm on a roll here. I've found a great line. And of course, you're always full of doubt and you think, well, maybe it's not that good. Maybe it's not that hard. And, Steve McClure who's a good friend of mine, was in the lakes. he shot me a message and he was like, hey, Gresh, can I come up to Pavey? And he ended up checking the route out. And, when he popped over the top, he'd had a couple of runs on a top rope and his pupils were really dilated and he was just shaking his head. He was like, it's one of the best of its kind. It's one of the best things I've ever been on. And also, he said it's one of the hardest too. And he said, because I didn't know about the grade, and he said, it feels a pretty similar proposition to McLeod's iconic E11 Rhapsody, which Steve has done. I knew it wasn't physically as hard as that because Rhapsody is 8C at least, but the fall on Rhapsody is more reasonable, let's say, whereas the fall on Lexicon is a lot less reasonable. After rope stretch and everything else, I should have mentioned, if you fall off the top of Lexicon, you're quite likely to touch the ground on rope stretch. Whereas with Rhapsody, there's no way you're going to hit the deck. Also with Lexicon, because the head wall is overhanging more and the lower wall is vertical, you swing in quite hard. So not only are you going to fall, 70, 80 feet, you're going to swing in hard and you're going to stop, if you're lucky, a meter or two off the deck from the last move. And that's if Hilaire gets everything right.
If you watch the film, it's like there's no hiding this thing, So this is a 514A, give or take, where if you fall from the last few moves, which is the crux because of the endurance component, you're literally going to take like a 70-foot whipper and almost hit the bottom of the cliff. And there's, in fact, footage of Steve McClure going for it, and it was just kind of this surprise try where he hadn't really intended to try for red point and just kind of got swept up in the moment, and he takes the biggest fall I have ever seen. You guys show it in the film like 2 or 3 times, and it is just like he barely fits in the frame. The camera's, like quarter mile away or something, and he barely fits in the entire frame. It's just so intense. And I wanted to say too that you were talking about the move to the slot, like right at the end, the dynamic move with some precision to it. And the footage that your videographer got was so good because you can see your face when you're going for that move, when you sent the thing, and your eyes are just bulging and you're holding your breath. And I literally held my breath when you were getting towards the top of that thing. It was so exciting, man. Yeah.
Yeah, because nobody's actually fallen off that move. What's so bizarre is that this route has had 4 repeats. It's had it's had 5 ascents, but nobody's dropped that last move. Steve dropped the move before that and stopped 2 meters off the deck, but nobody's dropped that last move. So, and Steve's quite light as well. He's quite small and quite light. A heavier, taller climber falling off the last move, who knows? It would be close.